Welcome to the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. Live from Studio C at media stations in Bohemia, New York.
Oh, look at this. Good evening, everybody. Wow, what a rousing applause we're getting. Listen to that, Lisa. That's crazy.
Look at that.
Wow.
Is that
Oh, my
operating that
God.
device?
Wow, look at this. And too bad our guest, it must be because of our guest that we're getting all that applause.
Of course.
It could be. It could be. Lisa,
Could
how was
be.
your week?
My week has been crazy busy. We've been working on some new things and
That's what you keep
right.
on saying. You keep working on, nobody knows what it is that you do.
It'll come out later. It'll come out later. But no, this week I have a team that has shared with me a better potential ERC offering. This particular team
What's an
has
ERC
had,
or what is that?
that is the Employee Retention Tax Credit
Okay.
that every small business owner that's been operating through the COVID pandemics may be eligible for. And even if you made profits, you may still be eligible. There's some other pieces that can be brought in to see if you're eligible. Many people are not aware that they're eligible, but the folks I'm working with have 0% rejects from the IRS filings, and they are getting the files in within 5 business days of our first call if they get their proper paperwork in a timely fashion. No, just sharing the details, but that's what I'm doing. Yeah, yes, it is. But even better, I think we have a guest that has some wonderful things to share.
Maybe we should introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Marlon Penner of Credit Mogul.
Woo.
All right. Well, welcome there, my friend, Mr. Marlon. How are you?
Doing really well. Thank you for having me here, both. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Where are you speaking to us from?
I'm out in Pennsylvania, a small little town called Lebanon. And it's really small populated. It's not as big populated like the bigger cities. It's
How
okay.
close to Allentown are you?
I'm about an hour away.
Uh-huh.
All right, you're around the corner from me.
Lisa, don't you live in Allentown?
I live right next door to Allentown. I'm in Bethlehem, not too far from the stacks, the steel stacks.
Right.
Oh, that's about 10 minutes. Oh, well, I'm around the corner from where he was, most likely. So,
Well, my mom really wanted me to push for music because I got the hand of a writer. And so I've created stuff that just came to me and I started putting it in the book. I still got the books here at home, by the way. So, I came up with so much ideas and I was very creative. That was the thing about me. When I wanted to do something, I just went for it and I was doing it for a couple of years. Tried it out. It's a tough business. Show business. As you know, it's a tough business. And
now to change the talent, change the date, do everything that we've been doing for the last. What did you do after music?
After music, well, of course, I was working. I was always working. I was in the driving business, transportation business. I got my CDL at an early age, at the age of 21 in New York, because that's where I lived.
done.
Yeah.
Is that where you're originally from? Are you originally from New York?
That's right, Queens, New York.
All right, whereabouts?
Corona.
Corona.
Yeah.
Nice. Corona.
Corona, Queens. Yeah.
Corona, Queens. Gotcha.
Do you miss it?
I still do, yes, because you know why? The food and the people that are still living there that I know. So
Mhm.
it always feels like home when I'm back. Tradition.
There are so
Yes.
many different ethnic groups in Corona. When you talk about the Statue of Liberty, they should have put
Yeah,
the Statue of Liberty in Corona
that's right.
because it's a mix of so many different people. It's great.
Yes.
That's why there's so much good food in Corona.
Yes. And you can go from Asia to the other side of the world right in Corona. It's crazy.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
right.
So you drove a truck or a van or something with your
Yes.
CDL, and when did you start getting into? Well, why don't you explain what Credit Mogul is, what you do?
Yeah. Wow. So before I started Credit Mogul, I was actually working for a limousine company. Not the stretch limousine, but they were like high-end black car limousine.
Gotcha.
Picked up a lot of famous people, very nice people for the most part. It would be just standard stuff. Like go to the hotel, take them to the hotel, take them to the airport, private airports, all that stuff, right? So I got to meet a lot of wonderful people along the years. And so I also had good credit because I was making some good money at the time. And I was doing it full time. Dropped out of college. I didn't even stay in college, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just that
It's, yep.
type of
It's
life.
not for everyone. It's
Yeah.
not. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I ended up doing a favor for a friend that of course my credit again was superb, it was great. And ended up doing a favor for a friend who was in the music industry as well. And we were working together doing a lot of projects. And it had something to do with automobile. And of course I did the deal. In the beginning, of course, everything worked out really well. And what do you know? Boom, rock bottom.
What do you? It was a bad credit decision. What was it that happened?
Yeah, it was a bad credit decision that happened over the course of the months. It just didn't happen right away.
You were a co-signer, I assume.
Yeah, that's right. I was a co-signer and of course doing a favor as a good friend, right?
Yep.
And it's funny, I didn't really do it for my family, but I did it for my friend.
Well,
Oh,
you can't pick your
And-
family, but you can pick your friends.
yes.
Right,
But
right.
did you get any counseling about co-signing before you did that?
Not at that time I did it. I rushed through the
Okay.
process. And so I got
Okay.
counseling after the aftermath, they call it, right?
Mhm.
That's when I got counseling. I learned the hard way why you got to be careful with co-signing because
Right.
there are a lot of defects that happen without
The
knowing.
regret.
Yes.
What was the reason, though, that you didn't cover the payments?
I just felt like it wasn't my responsibility based on our agreement that I made.
But you made an oral agreement or a written agreement?
Yes. In the beginning it was oral, then I had to put it in writing. And so,
Absolutely. You should never,
yeah,
friend or no friend, family or
Yeah.
not, you got to put it in writing.
yeah,
Mhm.
I did. I even notarized it.
A lot of good that did, right?
Yeah. You have to do it. You have to have a witness somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
I was able to shield it a little bit from the troubles that was coming my way, but
Were you able to get out of that deal?
absolutely. But that took a couple of
Okay,
years.
so that's the story. So tell
Yeah.
us now how this is example number one. Tell us how you got out of that deal.
Well, I had to get counseling with a mentor, one of the credit gurus out there, and to this day, I still think he is a great guy. I met him. I didn't meet him personally, but we spoke over the phone through the internet, of course. I'm telling you, the internet could do a lot of wonderful things if you really meet the right people out there.
Mhm.
And so I was able to connect, build a very good business relationship with that person, and he was able to help me understand the context of breaking down the contract information and how to go about disputing certain things that we can still win in our fight, in our battles. And so I was able to do that based on the information he provided me to study. And once I was able to slowly, pick up on it right away, it was a process. But then once I started getting there, it started coming off my name. So.
Well, let me ask you a question. It's a simple situation. You did sign a contract. You were responsible for that. So what did you use to get out of that contract? What did you say? Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't want to do it, so I decided not. What did you say?
So I had to fight it with the Consumer Reporting Agency. That's really the real name, right? And because people say it's the credit bureaus, but I also like to just elaborate that because that's really the right terms we got to use. And so I started just disputing inaccuracies, inconsistencies, mistakes that they didn't even see that I saw. And so that was what was able to, remove these negative items that was reporting on my consumer report. And so once I was able to battle that, they agree with me to say, yeah, you got to delete this item. Talking about the agencies. I'm not even talking about the bank. The bank
the agencies are the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
if they don't have their documentation in
Yeah.
order, it's something
Yeah.
you can fight.
that's right.
Misspelling of the name,
Yep.
misaligned address,
Yep.
you name it. Awesome.
And we all have the same right, believe it or not. It's under the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Yep.
I'll tell you a little bit of a recent credit story. My wife recently got a brand new car. Major manufacturer, fills out a credit report, comes back tier 1, great score. They give us picked up the car the next day, all good. She makes her first payment to this major manufacturer, no problem. Yesterday, she gets a letter that she's been turned down for a credit report.
Wow.
Crazy. So we called up and straightened it out. But one end doesn't know what the other end is doing, and that's how you people get in trouble.
Yeah.
Exactly. It happens all the time.
It does. It does. So, what is an interesting story that you'd like to share with us and the audience?
Wow. As far as clients that I've helped, or before I got to building the name Credit Mogul, because see, Credit Mogul came about in 2018.
Okay, so
So
I'm
start
curious-
there. Start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Credit Mogul became the thing in 2018. That's really the real time it became what it is. And that 2019, I got it up and running to really go commercial out there. And because 2018, I was working with the name, but I was doing Facebook promos. I was giving out a lot of free education. I still do to this day, by the way. I love giving education back to everyone who don't understand how things work with the FICO pie chart. How do people get to 800 credit score? So I love elaborating all that stuff. And that's one thing I've always been passionate, just learning from what I learned to share with others.
Nice.
It is confusing. It is very confusing, all this. And
So,
that's the thing I do a lot.
so did the situation with this credit hiccup happen about 2017 or 16, or was it at 2018? When did that get underway?
2016, one of my biggest years. Why? 2 reasons why I'll never forget it. I had my son.
Congratulations.
I was father, freaking out, so much going on.
That'll do
Then
it.
I'm fighting against the banks. Oh, no, we're going back and forth. And then I actually got married that year too. So it was a crazy year. That was one of my most craziest years in my life ever. So because when you're going through so much,
Yeah.
and my wife wasn't really working at the time, so I'm the breadwinner. I got to do everything.
That's how it is.
Yeah. That is how it is. When those babies come, they need some focus and direction.
So you started cleaning up your act in 2016. You went live with your business in 2019. Did you need to go to school? Did you go through any training, or was it life experiences that got you to where you're going?
Definitely life experience was number one, because I had to learn my mistake. Everybody who makes a mistake, eventually, hopefully, will learn one day, right? It will cost you, right? And sure, it did cost me. It's called the mentorship, the coaching calls, the counseling calls. All that cost me. It wasn't free to get on the phone with the guy who was helping me out a lot. And so, over time, I valued it so much. To me, it was an investment of my life changing. What was yet to come from my future. And I didn't look at it that way, like, oh, I can make a business out of it. I said, you know what? If I did it for myself, let me help someone in my family. Now, remember, I mentioned earlier, I never co-signed for a family member. Catch on, right? But here I am helping my family. It affects their credit, guys.
Yeah, well, that's what you do when you have family. That you do. You just don't sign. You might help them.
I mean, I think that was tremendous for me to make that comeback for them. What do you think of that, right? So
that's good stuff. So where do you provide your services?
So I'm all over everywhere, East Coast, West Coast, down south, United States. So, of course, there's just one state that just doesn't like people operating in the credit repair organization, and it's Georgia State. They have very tight laws there with that, and they have a lengthy sheet of people they don't want no involved over there in the state just doing business out there. Even if someone's licensed and bonded outside their state, you still can't operate in that state.
Unless you're, do you have to physically live there to be able to operate in their state?
Yes, from what I'm familiar, yes, you have to live there. You have to have businesses. You can also be a 501c3, but it all has to be registered over there.
Wow.
Can your business be registered there, but you live in another state?
As far as Georgia, I don't think that's allowed.
Are basically credit rules the same in every state, or is it drastically different, say, between Florida and New York, or California and Montana? Is there a major difference?
There are some little small tweaks of difference there, but nothing out of the ordinary. I also shared on my Facebook, on the Credit Mogul page, of all the information on these different states. By the way, I did it one by one just to keep people excited, where I would do one state a day. I'm talking about Hawaii, Alaska, Florida, and I'm putting everything on these websites, how it works for people to also have, these rights that they're not familiar with when they're getting harassed by debt collectors, who to contact, obviously state attorney generals. There's one in every state, right? So I will go from their website, upload it on the Credit Mogul page, and then basically share that information for every state that people, they reside in out there within the 50 states.
Okay.
But, some states do require certain limits as far as bonds and licenses, and some of them don't.
So let's say that I have a problem and my credit score is 550. And I really want to increase it, but I got all these lines of credit. Some of them have been late payments. Some of them I haven't paid. Whatever kind of problem can come up, I did. What do you tell your client? How does it work when they come into your office or online?
Yeah, definitely the consultation is always important, because consultation comes with like free education package. I'm telling you, I just love giving, again, education.
Do you
knowledge.
charge for consultation?
No.
So that's a good thing. So I hope everybody heard that. No charge for consultation.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So I just love sharing some information that people might have heard the wrong information from somewhere else, somebody else, and I recorrect that. And it's about just trying to do things now the formal way, the right way, correct way, where it was misled. So when I had that consultation, exactly what you just said with the late payment, you had a collection or something there, right? That already is like they call it the red flags of what is hurting the consumer report,
right?
As far as the score. Why? Because late payment, just one late payment could even go up to 100, 120 points. You hear me, guys? 120 points. Right? That is a lot of points. Very, very big to knock somebody from the 7s to the 6, possibly to the 580s, right? Where I've seen that happen. One late payment can cause that. So, yes, there was things that happened during COVID in the beginning. And yes, they were excused by not having that occur on their consumer report. And the reason why is because they already had talked about it in DC, how they were deferred or forbearance or excused, right, because of what happened on this unprecedented times, like we say. And so, yeah, I do have also, there's a website that talks about that. It's called cfpb.gov. They love sharing a lot of information about everything going on.
Repeat that again, Roland. Reach it so people can hear. Repeat
Absolutely. It is called cfpb.gov. It's a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They are there to actually oversight the 3 credit agencies to see, make sure that they're following the compliant orders of working and not violating our rights. And so that's what they're there for. And they're there to help us out when we're getting stuck or harassed or things that are happening to us that we're not aware of. as our backup. So they're always there. Online, email, fax, they're always there. Telephone, they're available.
Now, are they
They're out in
there?
Washington,
Are they
D.C.,
there for someone like you, or for just for the general public?
general public.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
And so when you talk about people being harassed, do you mean like medical payments that you have the collections calling and no longer the doctor's office calling? Is that something that you get the awareness out for their, causing trouble?
Right. So that's where it's like like they say that in between of where the customer might feel like they might be harassed, but not necessarily. And the reason why I say that is because first there'll be notices sent to the person's address, letting them know, hey, you owe us X amount of dollars. First notice, second notice will be sent. After that, yes, phone calls could start coming in, possibly multiple phone calls starts coming in during work hours or late night hours. Well, that starts to become a problem. So I tell people, look, if you feel like you are being victimized of being harassed in those circumstances, you have the right to report that section of the telephone violations that they have been
So
doing.
who do you call to report it?
Well, we go back to that good website. It's called CFPB.
I knew you were going to say that. So there's a spot there
.gov.
where people
.gov.
can
Right,
go
.gov.
to and
Right.
put in a complaint against certain companies for being harassed.
Yep, absolutely. So you go to that Consumer Financial Protection Bureau website, and you will let them know exactly what had happened. Explain the description, images, pictures. I mean, nowadays with the technology we have on our phone, we can take pictures about anything, even within our phone, right? And it's called screenshots. And you can share that information to them, and then they'll try to do something. But most likely, yes, they'll do something about it, depending how the person describes it and what's going on there, right? So it has to have valid points. I'm just not going to share a story to them and say, well, why are we even bothering to look into something like this if it's not important? And so it has to be valid. Okay, so just don't waste their time as well.
And what's their time frame of taking care of that problem for this consumer?
Usually 30-day window, just like anything. Like say
That's not so terrible, because I know people that have done 90 days before anything was done.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it'll be less than 30 days, depending how the situation looks. It might not be as bad or severe, for them to look at something there.
Now, do you have an office, or do people only deal with you online?
Right now, I'm doing a lot of stuff virtual. Office conversations out here in Pennsylvania coming soon. I don't have an exact date. Yes, I was in New Jersey before COVID happened, and I'm no longer there. So I tell everyone from New Jersey, New York that are calling me to get service done, that I'm still available. Right?
So, Marlon, how do people reach you? What's the best way to call you or contact you?
Yes, so they can contact me at my business number. It's 929-323-9217. That's my business information number right there, outline. And also,
what's that number again? Could you repeat it?
Yes, 929-323-9217.
Great.
What a nice smile you have.
Yeah. And do you have a website that people could explore while waiting to get in touch with you?
Yes, they can also visit the website at www.creditmogul.com. And that's credit with a K, guys. All right, so look up credit with a K. You can message there. I'll receive the message through the email. You can look at the FAQs, look at the videos that are posted, English and Spanish, by the way. I've done some other interviews. I've done presentations as well, live presentations. It was great. Again, it's all about just giving back also to the public, sharing value.
Okay, so here I come. I'm back with that 550 score. You tell me to get in touch with the creditbureau.gov. I made all those phone calls. A month goes by. Do we sign a contract sometime in between? And could you tell me what you're going to do for me?
Definitely. We do have to sign an agreement. We keep it exclusive ourselves. And once I'm able to determine how I'm going to dispute all these negative items, which right away they won't come off right away. Like I'm talking about a fast time frame. It's not gonna come off right away. It's not gonna come off in 3 in 1 shot. So we just never know as far as like when I'm disputing, let's say 3 items, I put it out there and we wait 30 to 45 days for a correspond back from the credit agencies. So we'll see the first round what happens. Sometimes the first round we don't really get the best outcome until we start going more deeper into the second, third round. We start seeing more of a better result.
Well, what do you do different to the second or third round? You send
Well, we
them the
get more
same
aggressive.
info?
We get more aggressive. We start muscling up.
Yeah, babe.
That's what we do.
That's
Let's
what
go.
I'm talking about. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, we start getting more intense of asking them to reinvestigate where they might have missed a couple things.
This
things
is
that they
where the
have not
Corona
looked at.
Queens. This is where Corona Queens gets in.
That's
Yep,
right.
that
We-
New
we-
Yorker boy comes out fighting it from his corner.
Right.
So-
we knuckle up.
There you go. And your clients, do they have to do any of the work? And how do you monitor their credit? Do you have a monitoring system that you have access to?
Yes. I do have a software I do use. It's called Credit Admiral. It's a good company. Actually, I'm gonna meet the owner of Credit Admiral next month in New Orleans. So we have a credit event going on for more training. By the way, I'm always learning, guys. Don't think because I'm the credit mogul and he's not gonna learn anymore. He got it all down pack. It's wrong, right? So I love to continue learning, to continue evolving and growing as things change. Remember, when COVID happened, things changed, guys. A lot of things
Oh,
changed. And
that's
so
for
I had to
sure.
adapt. Yes.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
do it.
Instead of a 6-week turnaround in a credit score, it went to 6 months in some instances.
If not longer.
If
Not
not
longer.
longer, yes.
And look at what's happening with the student loans, with the courts, the Supreme Court. Think
Right.
about that.
And how do the students know to pay or not to pay?
Right.
And when do they find out? They're only going to get hit hard.
Right.
And same with mortgages. Some were being directed to not pay their mortgages so that they could get into the program, but
Not a good
they ended
idea.
up needing your services.
And you know what? The interest still keep piling up.
It does.
Lisa, when you have a person that comes to you and who has a low credit score,
Mhm.
what do you do with them?
Well, we want them to have a better score before we take them to the lenders.
So then do you send them to someone like Marlon? Is that how it works?
At times, yes, I do.
Hear that, Marlon?
Yep.
There's your 1st lead
Mhm.
for tonight. There you go.
Can we hear some people make some noise? It's amazing.
Yes. Norman, where's that? Woo!
Okay, we have all kinds of effects over here. Wow, why do I think that at one time you were playing baseball or something and you wanted to go pro? Is that right?
That's right. My dad, big New York Yankees fan.
As
And
I
I grew up a Yankee because of him. And I lived in Queens, not far from Citi Field. Well, back in the day, it was called Shea Stadium, guys. You know, so
Right.
Yep. Mhm.
so he was like, "You're a traitor." I got it from my dad. I mean, what more? I mean, he was always watching the games every other night, and so that's how I got to learn all these great players from the '90s.
But what position did you play?
So I'm a lefty. I'm a lefty.
Were you a pitcher?
Yes, I was a pitcher. I was playing first base. I love first base. My biggest fear about first base is those line drive balls. When they come at you fast, you got to be ready. Because I did get hit in the face one time.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Could you hit a
Did you break
fastball?
your jaw?
Yes, fastball down the middle. But if it's too complicated, I'm not going to be able to hit it, or a curveball. So I did struggle batting
Let
up
me
as
tell you
well.
something. I was in Yankee fantasy camp in 1985.
Fantasy camp?
Fantasy camp in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I was there. Mickey Mantle, Sturdivant, Whitey Ford, you name it, they were all there. I was
Wow.
catching, and Bucky Dent came in to pitch. This is just like warm-ups. And he was throwing a couple of balls, no problem. First batter up, he throws a fastball. You have no appreciation for how good these people are. He threw a fastball. I caught it in the webbing, and I broke my thumb.
Oh,
That was just the beginning. So watching these people hit a ball at 103 miles an hour coming at you and knocking it out of the park or making these phenomenal plays, they deserve everything they get to a point.
yes, they do. So I think Dylan's going to be telling us about it's time to break away for a
Oh,
moment.
the heck with Dylan. We have plenty of time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back in about 2 minutes. We're going to take a short break so we can pay the bills, and then we'll be back with the credit mogul himself, Marlon Pina. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. My name is Norman Wasserman, and next to me is Lisa Rodino. Lisa and I host a TV podcast show called The Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man.
So what does the Business Power Hour do? We are here to talk about you and your business. We will put you on air for 1 hour to highlight your business in front of thousands of viewers worldwide, helping you generate more leads to grow your business.
And we do this every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. right here. What are you doing?
I'm keeping you on point.
Many businesses fail due to lack of adequate funding, and it's extremely difficult for startups and early-stage companies to be approved for financing or business credit. We say yes to funding when others may have told you no. Our approval rate is more than 85%. That's because we created a custom process that assures your company gets access to the best funding for your situation, regardless of any past rejections. We offer a new and innovative business funding and credit solution. Our exclusive process is administered by a qualified team of financial strategists who work together with you one-on-one to guide you step by step so you don't have to struggle to find quality funding for your business. We believe all great business ideas deserve to be approved for funding. Set yourself up for success and increase your access to capital so your business will not only succeed but thrive. Give us a call now and start your success plan today.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend Entertainment USA. My name is Norman Wasserman. I am also known as the Music Man. Let me just tell you a little bit about Friend Entertainment. We put on concerts for charities, and we do that everywhere from New York to Las Vegas. We do R&B, Motown, rock and roll, jazz, whatever it is that you wish. Friend Entertainment will deliver the best of the best for you and your charity. Here are some of the names of the talent that have performed with us on our stage. Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, The Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one and only ELO, Elton John himself, Kool and the Gang, and the fabulous Donna Summer. Go to our website, friendentusa.com. That's www.friendentusa.com, or feel free to call us at 631-698-9696. 631-698-9696, and we'll see you at the next show. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. Marlon, are you still with us? You didn't go back to Corona, did you? Oh, you still here? All right, cool. That's it. Let's now finalize that fictitious person going into your office. He comes in, and now he or she is starting to see a little light at the end of the tunnel. 6 months have gone by. You've achieved some of the. Where do you go now? How do we finish off this process where we clean him up and he's good to go?
Yeah, so the next stage is, of course, besides what I've gone through, repairing everything for that person, is rebuilding, right? You want to rebuild good establishment credit, good length of credit, create good payment history of credit as well, which all this adds up. And so I always tell them, please do the right thing moving forward, which is have auto pay. Make sure you always monitor everything as much as you can on the apps, on websites, get alerts, stay active with your credit, because if you slip up that one time again, it can be detrimental.
And don't pay minimums. Even if you pay only a couple of dollars more, don't pay the minimum.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. Pay more. Yes. And what's interesting with those credit reports, they never look at your wages.
Mhm.
They just look at your activity with, are you
Mhm.
paying? Are you keeping your utilization low? How are you behaving in that credit file, right?
But they also look at when they come up with your score, they look at how much outstanding credit you have versus that's when they look at your income, Lisa, don't they? Well, based upon your ratio between
No,
y-
not for the unsecured lines or unsecured credit,
well, when you
right,
do
Marlon?
credit checks for real estate versus credit checks for a car, are they different? Do they look for the same things or do they look for different things?
It's very, very different. For buying a home, it's a larger purchase. It's going to be a collateralized purchase. And yes, they will need to do calculations for your debt to income ratio and other things like that for the mortgage side. Now, for credit cards, Marlon, what do they need?
Wow, credit cards. I would say at minimum, it's always good to have at least 3 minimum credit cards, 3 minimum manageable credit cards, and being disciplined. Um, and believe it or not, right? That's what I got on my personal credit. I have about three, right? And I'm over 750, right? So I can manage it, right? So I always tell everyone, look, you can have minimum three. Yes, I've seen people that have 5, 10, 15. Starts getting to the higher numbers, like, wait a minute, you don't want to let these other cards that you have there just close on its own as well, or close by the institutional lender, because that can also hurt the credit score.
Absolutely. When you ask them when you want to get rid of a credit card after it's paid off, they don't even want you to do that. Your credit score
They
could go down.
Right, it'll go down for quite a time.
That's ridiculous.
So
That is
yeah,
that is insane.
because of the utilization factor that they put in.
Yeah.
So yes, you want to leave them open.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and his I know a lot of people that have had issues. I know people that have gone bankrupt, and as soon as they get the discharge, there are
Mhm.
4 or 5 credit companies banging on their door to give them a credit card and charge them 26, 27%. Now you got to
Yeah,
psychologically be out of your mind to even read those ads.
right. And sometimes they will require you to give your own money and they will start lending it back to you.
That's right, collateral.
Yep, the collateralized lines of credit. And those are big red flags to the traditional lenders because they know when someone is using that type of card, it's like a big red flag saying, no, they've had bad credit in their history. We don't want to lend to them. So it limits their access to future lending.
Exactly. Well,
Marlon, question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is the difference between an authorized user and a joint user?
Wow, the authorized user is also known for piggybacking. So, for example, someone in your family has, of course, great expectational credit or even good credit, 700, 740, 750, right? So someone has these numbers and they have, let's say, 6 credit cards, and they have a high limit as far as their credit limit, good age history. I'm talking about more than 5+ years, good payment on time, payment history. That's already good enough to put someone else to help that individual that needs that boost as a secondary.
So that's the joint.
That's well, it's not officially a joint, because the joint basically would come to an agreement on paper. You know, like they say, borrower co-borrower, right? That's like officially on paper saying that you're both obligated under one.
Well, if my wife gets a credit card, and she'll sometimes say to me, "Do you want to be on this card?" I tell her no. I
Yeah.
tell her no because I know it's going to affect my credit score, as well as it's going to affect hers. Now,
Yeah,
now that's something that people shouldn't do either.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I always tell everyone, whoever does it for their loved one or their family or friends, close friends, whoever they are willing to do it for, make sure that that primary account is in good standings. Now, here's where it can get a little tricky and dicey. If someone has an account where they want to put you as an authorized user and that account is not looking good, it's also going to reflect on the other second person
Absolutely.
trying to help.
That's correct.
Yep. So what, you've been doing this a number of years now. So what has been the worst thing that can happen to your credit?
Right. So one of the worst things I've seen, again, it's going back to the auto pay, right? Where people do forget, they go on vacations, life happens, maybe separation, something with children involved. Things are happening all around, right? And sometimes we forget things. Of course, the whole thing with the job loss, that's a big one too, right?
Yes.
So yeah, things happen, and yes, auto pay is always something I just tell people to try to do. Even if you didn't have it good that month, I'm sure within the next following month you can start getting yourself back together, or maybe the next 2 months. But at least always have something still in rotation for them to collect and not report you late. But now there's also something called hardship programs, where these banks, you have to call them directly, talk with whoever it is, Capital One, Bank of America, whoever it is, they'll have it. This is like every one of them also have something called bankruptcy, department. And so the hardship department, basically, they're there to work with people. And some of them, I heard stories where they'll be able to waive a couple days and not mark it late and still give you that little grace period to still make up for that time, right. You were supposed to pay them on the calculated date. And so they won't mark you as late. But again, it all starts with a phone call. So I was telling, pick up the phone. Don't be afraid to talk about what's going on in your life.
Here's a crazy question for you. Did you ever deal with Canada?
Yes. I had some people that like to travel a lot.
What are you smiling about? Did I say something funny?
No, because I'm actually gonna go this year. I'm gonna go. So I want to see what it's like up there too, just to see.
Well, it's just some more land with a bunch of French people. I'm a product of those Canadians up there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So people always ask me, well, I'm always back and forth, United States, Canada. I even think that at some point they even have double passports, So, the whole thing with Canada, right? Yes, they also have the credit system just like we have here in the United States. The only difference is that there's 2 agencies that report the score, not 3. Here in the United States, we have 3, which is Experian, which is Equifax, and TransUnion, right? Well, guess what? Canada only has 2, Equifax, and you guessed TransUnion. That's it.
Long question. Why we have 3 credit bureaus? I get it. Credit Bureau A will say that your credit score is 570.
Yeah.
The next one will say that it's 610.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get one that says it's 590. Why aren't they all on the same page? What do they look at that's different and creates problems?
Well, that's an excellent question.
Thank you.
Yes. And so that's one thing I love talking about in my consultations with every individual that have 5 accounts reporting on Equifax, 4 accounts reporting on TransUnion, and then another 6 account reporting on Experian. And so it's unbalanced, not evenly matched. And the reason why that happens is that not all lenders report to to different agencies. They'll report 2 out of 3. You follow me?
Yeah, but that's nuts.
Yeah. I got a good one for you. People that are renting that don't have a mortgage. It's called rent reporters. Well, guess what? They'll report 2 out of 3 versus all 3 of them. Why? Because it costs them money to report that information. It's a business within a business.
Yep.
And question, you go for a car, you go for a mortgage. There's a soft credit and there's hard credit. Mm-hmm. Why do they charge you hard? In other words, you take hard credit. Your score is dropping. You go buy a car and they do a credit search and they do a hard search. Your credit line is dropping.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
It's your credit score that drops.
Why? That's what I meant. Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know why it drops? Because sometimes these auto dealer guys sometimes are nut jobs.
Tell me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta call them out. I'm sure they hear it all the time, and people do fight about it. I just had a client who called me before the show talking about, they ran my credit without my authorization. And so they are doing this sometimes, and they say, well, we'll hold on to the application, hold on to the paperwork. Next thing you know, boom, they get an alert talking about, did you apply for this bank? And they say, well, I never applied for it. The guys at the dealer probably ran it. And obviously, without the consent of the consumer.
Right.
So that's always important. Consent is always important. I have to authorize this.
One of the credit bureaus of the three I belong to, and I have a service with them that tells me as soon as someone jumps in and takes a peek at my credit and whatever, with authorization or without authorization, then you have the dark mode where people are checking in behind your back and you don't know that's going on either.
Well, what happens is you sign on your credit card application. You sign giving them authorization to check with a soft pull every so many weeks to see how your credit is doing. And they may want to offer you a larger line if you look good to them.
Yes.
Right, Marlon?
Absolutely.
But then that's soft. But they also do it under a hard check. And that should never be. Even when you go buy a car, that's not right to go and do. So I understand you need to check it to see who you're dealing with. I get that. But it should be, you shouldn't pay a penalty, on your credit score because to help someone else do business. That's just not, in my opinion, not right. Not good.
Here's a crazy story about her. When people are trying to get approved for loans and they have too much of that reflecting, they can get denied on the application just because of that. Yeah. Even if their credit score is 700, 750, 760, doesn't matter. You still have more than 20, 30 inquiries showing there. Guess what? The bank's going to deny it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because you have many lenders that are inquiry sensitive and they will pass on the file. Marlon, I work in business credit building and we've been doing it over 14 years, my team and I, and they know how to align the file so that we get the most approvals for lines of credit. Now, can you tell us what are the proven ways to improve a credit score?
Proven ways, of course, it's about payment history, which is 35%. We got that age history, which is 15%. And those are the real numbers, by the way. And there's a separation of, the FICO numbers and the Vantage Score numbers, which is called AKA Credit Karma numbers, right? Because a lot of people do use it till this day. Of course, it does separate where that factor entails where the person who's responsible for all these accounts they're managing, which is 5 accounts, 6 accounts, is as far as improving the payment on time. The more lines you do have, the stronger the profile. That's another thing. The accuracy about the name. By the way, we want to have one name, not 3 different names, middle names, and all that. We don't want to have so much stuff reflecting on the credit report. It can also hurt the score, guys. Believe it or not, there are testimonies I have from people remove the incorrect spelling of the name. It also helped boost their credit scores. Believe it or not, right? Same thing with addresses. We don't want to have too much addresses reflecting because guess what? It doesn't look stable. Same thing employment. What are they going to say? The banks are going to say, wait a minute, how does this guy have 5, 6 different jobs? It all reflects there on writing, right? In paper. Saying that you worked at all these different places. Guess what? You're not a stable candidate to even apply for a mortgage loan, a loan. I'm sorry. Personal loan, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
And then the same thing with telephone numbers, right? I know it sounds silly. Telephone numbers, yeah. We always change them. Yes, we do sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. I've kept mine over, for a very long period of time.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, there you go. Right? And so it's just easier for database purpose, right? It's easier to manage. And so even with telephone numbers, the less that you have, the more stable you are on the credit report to reflect, to help not only obviously everything going on with the scores, but the stability. Banks will look at the person a little bit more serious, and not be a little iffy about that consumer. And so those are the things I like to always point out. because
Nice.
again, it might seem like it's not a big deal, but it really is.
So if someone has questions for you, how do they reach you?
Yes, of course. Contact Credit Mogul 929-323-9217. Almost forgot my number.
Oh, no.
929
Repeat it
Let's
again.
try it again.
Everybody else is forgetting it.
There you go. All right. 929-323-9217. Also, of course, on social media, Credit Mogul with a K, Instagram, on Facebook as well. Got the fan, I call it the fan page. I got the business page up there. I always tell people share some testimonies. A lot of guys don't really like come forward sharing testimonies. They're very quiet. It's all right,
Right.
but I still keep posting. I keep posting, keep people engaged.
Right. And
interact.
Marlon, yep, I'm in the finance space too. And you could have 5 people in a room, and I might have 2 or 3 clients in that room, but nobody's going to know unless they say it, because we've got to keep that private. You know?
Marlon, is there
Yeah.
any special, because we're getting close, believe it or not, the hour is almost over. That's how
Can you
crazy
believe it?
this is. Let me ask you a question. The best way to keep your credit up, I'll say something that I do. I take whatever credit cards, whatever payments I need to make a month, and I make a sheet. And I put on this sheet how much I plan on paying and what date it's going out. And I keep myself organized this way so that I don't have any problems. I know you can pay online monthly at a certain time, but sometimes you can't pay on that particular date.
Yeah.
What do you recommend?
Definitely always have that phone call discussion with the lender, right? Just see what's flexible on that behalf, right? Like what can work out between both the lender and the consumer, right? Because without that phone call, again, it's just to have the prevention of, trying to avoid what can possibly happen next. And of course, I know sometimes, yes, again, we all go through our hardships. I went through mine many, many years ago. And it wasn't fun getting out of it. I tell you that. It was a hard struggle, but we all get there because look, I had clients that in the same boat. They had really tough struggles with jobs and just family deaths, all kinds of stuff happening. And
That's life.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
COVID too in the recent past.
exactly.
So,
I was
so-
still, I was still able to help them get through. So
well, that's good. So Marlon, are there any upcoming events that you'd like to share with the audience?
definitely. I will be out in New Orleans on the 24th to the 26th of April. That's next month. Be out there for 3 days for a credit event that I'm going to be part of. And I just can't wait to meet the people who are going to be out there. There's a lot of great guys that are in the industry that have written books. One of them is called The School of Credit. His name is Flame Newton. So I got my book ready for him to sign it. So these are the kind of guys that are going to be there. And there's going to be a lot of guest speakers from all over the country.
So when you get
Nice.
educated, when you get down for these 3 days and you learn some new things, how soon do you go into having seminars or speaking engagements back Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, around the country? Do you do that as well?
Yes, I just actually did one last week in New York, Long Beach. It was great being there at a real estate office. And it was about an hour presentation. And I was actually there with a good friend of mine. Shout out to the FICO father, they call him the FICO father. This perfect 850 credit score all across the board. I mean, this guy's he's amazing. And
Wow.
so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he shares the gems as well. So it was an honor to be there with him at the same stage, sharing the microphone, like we say, right? But and of course working together, collaborating, and that's one thing I always appreciated with people like that in the business that are here for me, I'm here for them, and I'm going to continue doing that throughout the year.
Now,
So, yeah.
Lisa, I don't think you know this, but I met Marlon at a network group that meets Wednesdays at about 11 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people show up, 50, 60 people on
Yeah.
that particular day. In fact, Lisa,
Oh.
you've been there. You've been to that group too. But tomorrow morning at 10:30, Marlon's
Yes.
going to be at NRG.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
he's going to be talking tomorrow and being introduced by myself to Mike and to you, because you belong to that particular group too.
Yep.
And if anybody wants to see more of Marlon, get in touch with me this evening or early tomorrow morning at 631-698-9696. That's my contact number. And if you want to be on the Business Power Hour, great number to call. Marlon, last words from you. Talk to me, babe.
All right. Of course, thank you once again for having me here tonight. This was great for me to share some value for everyone listening and checking us out here live. And so, I just wanted to give a shout out to, of course, people that I like they say, I rock with heavy. And so these are my peoples. I want to give a shout out. I've been wanting to give a shout out for them for the longest, right? So
Go for it.
definitely, let's go. I want to give a shout out to the Wild Real Estate Group, the Metro 2 Consumer Law Group. Great guys over there as well. FICO Father, the guy I just mentioned, I just did a presentation with on Monday. Dave Diamond, Neil Yangley, Ingrid Schwartz, Emilio Estevez, Rich M.Y., Dion Williams, Roy Rodriguez, El Tocatos, my guy out there in Jersey, El Holmes, Laziz, April, Jose, Jonathan, and Juan Nunes, good guys out there. Gerald Lorenzo, Stephen Hoyas, Jeffrey Duran, Mario, Leon.
What is this, your Rolodex?
Oh, yeah, these are just guys I'm really close with. And last but not least, my last two cousins who really supported me so much out in Connecticut, they're in Bridgeport ladies. But they're from New York as well.
How about a shout out for your wife who's put up for you for all these years?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shout out my wife. Shout out my wife, Ayana, as well. Definitely. She's always been the backbone of all the hurdles. And
Yeah, she's
right.
taking care of the back so you can take care of the business.
right, that's right. And and yes, of course, my cousins in Connecticut, Stephanie and Milka Rodriguez. Great people.
You're sure you're done?
Yes, I
You're
am done.
positive. You're sure? You hit all 60 or 70? Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
No, and shout out to the followers who are supporting the movement on social media.
Way to go. Marlon, we thank you very, very much. You've been very entertaining. You are the man. Give us everybody a smile again. Show us those pearly whites. There you go. Well, we thank you very much for being here, and
Thank
we
you
wish
for
you a
joining
lot
us.
of good luck.
Yes.
All right, just sit there, be tight before we wrap up. Okay, Lisa, great show.
Yes, sir.
Great
I
show.
learned a few things, and I'm in that industry.
That's
So,
right.
Thank you for the education, Marlon.
The two of you should certainly be doing some business together. No question about it.
Yes.
You
Definitely.
should feed off each other.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's it. So we'll see everybody next week, Tuesday evening at
Yes.
7 o'clock sharp at the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. We wish everybody a great week, a safe week. God bless you, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
The Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man is sponsored by Media Stations. Create your own media and have your own station. To get started with your own content, call or text 516-448-2066. That's Media Stations in Bohemia, New York.